Hey guys, Josh Maule, the voice, and today we're sending my Uncle Kenny 17 years into the future. Uncle Kenny is way overdue for an upgrade. He's old school from head to toe. Check out that specialized Piranha helmet. See what you think. Give it like 10 or 15 minutes.
Shifting's all on the right, huh?
Yeah, shifting's all on the right, and then you got your seat post adjustment on the left. So play with that seat post. See what you think. Check out that specialized Piranha helmet. Do you think that thing protects his head anymore? How do you like those tan lines? Those aren't socks. Yeah, how do you like those brakes? Now, we just did some riding up here in Payson on some pretty tough and technical trails, and all I could think about while I was riding my Pivot Mach 5.5 was, wow, this is such a great bike. I'm running my tires at about 20 PSI. I got the suspension, you know, nice and soft. I got my adjustable seat post, big wide tires, big strong disc brakes, and behind me I could hear Kenny fumbling and bobbling. And you know, Kenny's a decent rider. He's been riding about as long as I have on mountain bikes since the early 90s, but I know that the bike technology that he and I are both riding is vastly different. So I'm curious to see what he thinks of the brand new Pivot Mach 5.5, basically taking him 17 to 18 years into the future. So we'll see what he says when he comes back. So here's what Kenny's been riding since right around the turn of the century. He bought this Klein Adept Pro from a great local bike shop right around the corner from us, Bike Barn. A great group of folks over there. Bought this almost 20 years ago. And a couple things I want to point out, of course, 26-inch wheels. And not only are they 26-inch wheels, these are 2.2s on this with tubes. And because they're 2.2s and they have tubes, that means these things need to be running about 40 to 50 PSI. Now, those of you guys that are new to mountain biking or only been in a few years are gasping at that pressure. Also, he's got the V-brakes. And this bike, as you can see, it's got the lugs for the disc brakes on the Manitou Elite fork, but this was kind of the hot bike back in the day, fully equipped, fully loaded, Shimano XT, almost as good as it gets. Fox shocks on the rear. It's the roll wheel. So this was right after Trek had purchased Klein. They were still making bikes under the Klein name. Beautifully welded aluminum bike with the cool paint job, classic Klein. But you see how long that stem is, how high we run the seat. The small wheels, the short travel, the lack of braking. And let's go take a look at the gears on it. So he's running a 3x system up front here. 3 gears up front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gears in the back. Shimano XTR. This is great Shimano XTR stuff right here, in fact. But that's what he's been riding for the last 20 years now. Here's kind of a side-by-side comparison. We got both bikes lined up on the front axle. Looks like Kenny's bike. Just pull your bike forward just a little bit. Right, a little more, right there. That's about lined up. And you can see the difference on the stem. Look where the stems lie on these two bikes. You know, with those front axles lined up. And of course, you can see if you look down right here, look at the difference on the head angle there. Look at how much more slack the head angle is on the Pivot Mach 5.5 over the Klein Adept Pro. And then look at the length on that stem, and then look at bar width. See the difference? Everything's bigger and beefier. And then of course this has the boost spacing on the front hub with the through axle. This is the standard spacing with just a regular old skewer. And as we look towards the back, you can really see here the difference in the wheelbase. Now, Kenny's bike has a tighter wheelbase by about, oh gosh, that's got to be at least 4 inches. But you really don't notice it on this thing. I could climb on this Pivot Mach 5.5 just about anything I could climb on any other bike. Now, I know it's hard to see right now. Let me see if I can get a good shot here. I'm going to show you the difference in the bottom bracket height. Here we go. Now, it's still hard to see because if I give you a straight-on shot, you really can't see it. But if we do it from here, that's really where you can see the difference. And the very bottom of the bottom bracket right here, falls where about the center line of the spindle is on the crank arms on that bike. And then of course he's got the triple chain ring, we've got the single chain ring up front, the disc brakes, and of course you can see kind of that difference in frame geometry where Klein, they kind of had, I don't know, a little something there going to the frame geometry department, but they were still way off. Look at the difference in the seat angle there, the seat tube angle, where basically what that does is that you've still got a lot of spacing there between the seat tube and the rear tire, but the rear tire on the Pivot Mach 5.5 is actually tucked in way closer than it is on the Klein. So the rider sits further back on the whole bike on the Pivot Mach 5.5 than they do on the old school 20-year-old Klein Adept Pro. So what do you think?
This bike it's just so effortless. Over my bike. My bike, you got to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a world of difference.
Yeah. Well,
The steering, the balance, and the biggest thing is it's just easier to pedal than mine.
Yeah. And what do you think? Like, you got about half the pressure in these tires that you do in your tires.
No, this thing just glides on the trails.
Uh-huh.
But it's got a real good stable feeling. And when you turn, use the steering wheel, it's not so wishy-washy like mine is with those front tires I have and stuff.
Yeah. Slipping and sliding everywhere.
Yep, it's a big difference.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's the difference in technology that 20 years makes. So Kenny got to go into the 17 to 18 years into the future there, and I think he's ready to make the final leap into the future with the rest of us.